to ASL F2 here in Imola. We should have a fun one here today. F1 was kind of crazy, not gonna make any comments. We have 15 people right now. Might be getting a little more later on. We'll have to see.
And we got quite a few people ready to go out.
Yep, I think we're watching the first of the runners. Rudy Crazy Legs obviously going to be the first one out here, as he usually is. He's Steam
So
Dan
we
in the
got
chat.
half an hour qualifying.
Usually is faster though, but we'll just have to wait and see.
So few information on the track and air condition. Air temperature currently running at 23 Celsius and 73 Fahrenheit for those who are watching from States. And the track temp is 36 Celsius and 97 Fahrenheit for those who are watching from States. So it's not really too hot for racing. It's, I would say, almost like perfect conditions.
Track should be rubbering in throughout quali, especially with this long one that we have going here. Track should be very nice to race on, a lot better than F1 quali, which is full wets at one point. A little bit of information. We have Rudy Crazy Legs now #1 in the championship. Because of the fact that Lark Knight has been promoted to F1 and is driving for McLaren.
Yeah, quite a nice thing to mention for him. He was doing really good in F1 and in F2, and he did really good in F1 today as well. So we're kind of happy to see what he will do in F1.
So yeah, Rudy Crazy Legs, the guy to watch, leading the championship by 20 points on Zane. Zane not actually in this. Oh, he is in this session. My apologies. So we'll have to see here. Another bit of information. Steam Dan, once an F1 driver for McLaren, had to maybe take a little leave of absence from F1 and is now driving for Trident for F2. So we'll have to see how he does on his debut. Rudy Crazy Legs through Sector 2, 57.6. Talking to Rudy Crazy Legs a little bit today. He seems fast. He seems ready. He wants this win, and he is hungry for it. We'll have to see how he does. Sven in the Rodin, first-time Rodin driver for him. So he's also another guy to watch. Dominated in Miami, so we'll have to watch if he can do it again. Rudy Crazy Legs setting the field for us with a 126.4. That is pretty good for him. So we'll have to see how that progresses. Zane across the line, 126.3 for him, hitting that provisional pull, followed by Zero Alfie, 126.5. Pretty nice. Continuing trying to watch to see who some people invalidating as Zane does. I think maybe that is Lens, who's starting his lap soon. Or either Archie Butt or Olivis. I think crossing the line just now. Maybe not. That was RBB. I apologize. Romeo. 128.9 here in Imola. Does not get him anywhere good as Archie Butt goes fourth. Archie once a F1 driver, but now he's back into F2. I don't know exactly what happened with all of that. Maybe he just wasn't making so we'll have to see how he can do back here in F2. Kairos hitting a 204. That's not gonna qualify you on pole position. Sorry Kairos, but that's gotta go faster than that, dude. Zane still in that P1. Steam Dan, 126.5 from him. Once an F1 driver, like I said, now F2. We'll have to watch how he does. Lens on his lap now. VAR in the championship, 101 to MP's 100.
Lens is getting purple sector 1.
Yeah, Lens, definitely another person to watch as Jude joins this session. Lens, right now, in the standings, he is P5, 34 points, so he could find himself climbing that. And with good points, Van Amersfoort could definitely show that gap to MP. MP, 2 drivers here today, Romeo and Ari. So they could get some really good points. Trident also still in the mix, with Steam Dan being the driver for that. Obviously, Lark Knight moving up from F2 as Ben hits a 128.4, putting him in P6. Lens about to cross the line.
I think this is a good one.
126.5, putting him P5 as Romeo retires with a 128.9. Tire wear very high here, so if you can't get a good lap on these super softs, you're almost done. Gonna jump over to Lewis Celtic here as we watch his lap, waiting to see if he disqualifies on the chicane. Very easy to do it here. So we'll have to watch 59.4 through that second sector for Lewis Celtic, going over the curbs, looking very nice. No disqualification, so he'll be happy to take that. Lewis still coming here around the final corners. What will he put in for his lap? Maybe a little bit of a slower one as we watch him cross the line. 128.4, putting him P9. Just not what you're looking for here. Qualifying high is very crucial, especially that first chicane. Could be make or break for your race. Watching Ari now as they head through their time. Looking very strong, also driving for that MP. Ari, the team principal for Red Bull, driving for their car as they were not able to find anyone for F2. Purple Sector 1 for Ari. So maybe we'll see this team principal show a lot of pace in the F2 car. Second race for them. They raced in Miami first, but didn't have any sort of memorable race. So nothing there to say. Continuing to watch Ari through their lap, heading up the hill, crossing that sector 2. Is it going to be purple 2? Yes, it is. 58.6. We might see a provisional pole here from Ari, maybe setting the field for the rest of everyone else. Rudy Crazy Legs out on an out lap. We'll have to switch to him soon because he's also the guy to watch. Very important for him to have good results here if he wants to continue holding his championship lead. Sven, he had a really good time in Miami. As Ari, 127.5, not having that provisional pull after setting 2 purple sectors. Wonder what happened in that third one. Gonna switch over to Rudy Crazy Legs here as I'm through, leaves the session. Rudy Crazy Legs, the guy to watch. If he can do something good here, then he'll definitely be looking for another win here.
Ovilus is the guy who will be close to the line first. But he backs out from his lap.
Rudy Crazy Legs going very wide and disqualifying his lap. Gonna be very bad for him. These super softs not having any sort of tire wear capabilities, so I don't think he's gonna be able to get another one out. Some people that I'm interested in watching, Sven, who dominated in Miami. I want to watch his lap to see what he can get here, but he's not out yet. If you're just now joining us, top 5 will be Zane, Rudy Crazy Legs, Steam Dan, Zero Alfie, and Lens. Everyone fighting for something good here, so we'll have to see what happens. Yes, Rudy Crazy Legs retiring from the session. So, same with Zane in that P1, so maybe that's our front row if nobody can go back. So we're watching Jamie right now for his team. Ari retiring in that P9. Maybe we'll see qualifying end very early then. Jamie up through that sector 2, 59.1, not fast, not slow either. We'll just have to watch and see what he can do with it, see if he can't push it to the limit and put in a good lap. 2 people yet to set laps, Olivis and Sven, as Jamie runs wide but does not disqualify.
But he's gonna ruin his lap.
Jamie, yeah, 129 lap 2, not what he was looking for as he qualifies
Sven
14.
Still not doing the lap.
Yeah, 2 people, still no laps. Olivis and Sven. Olivis wants an F2 driver, or wants an F1 driver. My apologies, no, an F2 driver.
Oh, Lance is going backwards on the
Lens
racing
retiring.
line. Oh, and somebody hit him.
We watched Sven on his outlap, so he is the guy to watch really here. If he was just a fluke in Miami, or maybe he really just does have this pace that we were talking about. We'll have to see, though. His teammate not here, though. Watching Sven on his outlap should be good. I'm going to switch over to Steam Dan, once my commentary partner, but now racing in F2 after exam week, as he disqualifies his lap. Would have came across with like a 128. So there would have been 0 improvement for him as he retires. Zero Alfie on a lap, 0.2 up as he's heading through the second sector. Taking that corner very, very nicely. We're just waiting for Sven to be done with his out lap, so we're going to watch his fast lap. Zero Alfie through and climbing up, crossing sector 2, 57.7, purple sector 2, as he is just a little bit behind on his delta, so we'll have to see if he can find any time and maybe push himself to that provisional pole if he can find it. Olivis finally out on his outlap, so everyone should be setting time. Was it 10th up in the first sector, then went wide? Yeah, we watched that a little bit, seemed down. Keep going as Zero Alfie crosses the line, 126.7, not finding any time there like he would have wanted.
Validates his outlap, and that put him in validation for the fast lap.
Yeah. Oh. Sven, yeah, disqualification on his lap. So saving these tires are going to be very crucial for him if he can. Dr. Law, first time F2 watcher here. I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, Sven definitely warming up his tires as we watch him swerving around. So many people retiring, not finding time, which is kind of always going to be the case here with these super softs, not having a whole lot of wear on them that they can be used. So keeping them off curbs, very crucial. As we watch Sven use all the track. So yeah, he is not training his tires well, as Ari is putting it. Over the curbs, very, very roughly. So we'll have to see what Sven can do here.
And Alvarez invalidates his lap again. He had like 4 invalidated laps so far.
And we watch Lewis Celtic retire, and Sven will start his lap. Jim Pika retiring. So just 5 more people left to go. Jude on a lap, Ben, Sven, Olivis, and Archie in the pit. Watching the curbs, very, very rough on these cars as they just bounce over them very easily. Sven through and very showing a lot of grip. Sven coming across, still showing a lot of grip. No doubt that he has treated these tires well, unlike what we were saying. Sven crossing the Sector 2 with a 57.9. Purple Sector 2. We've seen several people get purple Sector 2s here. So we'll have to watch to see if Sven will put the rest of this good, though. If he can set this pole position. 126.3, the time to beat. Very, very beatable here, though. A lot of time still to be found. Sven coming across the final corners. 121, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is he gonna do it? I don't think he is. 126.8, qualifying 7th. That's not gonna be really what he wanted. Maybe that invalidation on the first outlap is not gonna be treating him well. Jude almost matching his time here as we watch him. Sven retiring. Jude 2/10 up. I don't think he has any time to find. Maybe very, very close to disqualifying. So maybe he found some time there. No, Jude retiring, not having any time. Switching to Archie, but here 4 seconds up. That's just not really what you want to see when you switch to somebody, especially someone like Archie who won a race not too long ago. Into the gravel. Would not be surprised to see, yep, as he retires. Switching down to Ben now. Ben heading through Sector 2 still. Very, very slow. Don't know what's happening here. 5 laps on this Super Softs. So, I don't think we'll see anything from him anytime soon. Olivis, still the guy to not put in a lap. Does he have tires for it, though, is the real question. Probably not. Usually you don't. when you disqualify like that several times. So still watching Ben here, not exactly sure what he's doing. Maybe just bringing it around to the pits before retiring. I don't think we're seeing faster laps out of him anytime soon. All of us still yet to send in a lap, so we'll have to see what happens there. Dami, unfortunately, having to leave for us. Fru joining back for the 100th time. Fru having some difficulties. Steam Dan, I don't know if they're going to retire. We'll have to see. I am Toasty, your ASL F2 lead commentator. Here, if you're just joining us, Q1, 10 minutes later, we will be done. But until then, we watch Olivis on his out lap. Gonna have maybe some rougher tires. Ben still yet to retire. So all of us, the man that we are watching right now on board with, currently no lap set for him. So he has all the room to gain something. The track will be as rubbered in as it will get as Ben goes out on a lap. I don't know what the plan there is, because he's just not going to have anything to find. Continuing to watch all of this here. I don't know why we're in TV pod mode. Should be broadcast. Yeah, Zane, I think it's pissing everyone off. Fru joining this session, he might be setting a lap too. All of us disqualifying his out lap. So we might be even more in for a ride. All of us starting his lap. He still has so much clean air. The only other person on track right now is Ben, and he hasn't even crossed the final ones. As Ari is begging for someone to crash because they do not want to sit through all of this. Ben, I don't even know what's going on with Ben as he starts his lap there. Through the DRS zone. I don't think Ben is going to have pace to find on those really, really old tires. All of us continuing through as he will head through Sector 2. A lot of grip showing, even with these old tires. Dr. Law leaving the session. All of us through that Sector 2. 58.8 as he hits purple Sector 2. So looking very good here for all of us still as he will continue his lap. Looking a little slow, actually. All of us crossing the final corners. I really hope that he retires soon because I do not want to sit through another 7 minutes of qualifying. All of us coming across the line, 128.1. Putting him in P12. Fru on an out lap. Gonna switch over to him. Hopefully Ben and all of us retire. Ben just a whole second up, so I don't know what his plan was. Fru starting his lap. Yeah, all of us 3 lap old tires. I don't think he has any more pace for that. Fru on his lap now. through the very open chicane as he disqualifies his lap. That's not what you really want to see, as Steam Dan begging Ben to retire. But even if Ben retires, we still have all of us and Frew left Dan, so just not really what you want to see, especially right now. Frew starting back on his line, last person left on track and in the session. So unless Frew can put in a really fast lap here, your top 5 will be Zane, Rudy Crazy Legs, Steam Dan, Zero Alfie, and Lens. Through the open chicane. This is where he retired last, or disqualified last time, as he sets purple sector 1, showing a lot of pace here. So Frew maybe our new pole sitter. Looking down the rest of the order, we have Kairos in that P6, Sven holding that P7 out for us, Jude also up there in that 8, Archie in that 9, maybe a little bit slow for what we think we'd be able to see from him. Ari in that 10, the team principal racing for their own team. Jim Peak in that 11. All of us in that P12. Lewis Celtic holding that P13. Ben after doing 6 laps on 14. Romeo in that P15. Jamie in that P16. And Frew, we are watching right now, seeing what he gets as he heads through the final corners. A little bit of snap there, so that'll slow him down as he will cross the line 1:27.7, putting him in that P12 spot. Hopefully he knows to retire here and we will have our grid. Someone please tell Frew to retire. Yes, thank you, Frew. Looking at your grid to start the Imola Grand Prix. My apologies. The Formula 1 AWS Gran Premio del Made in Italy e del Emilia Romagna Grand Prix held in the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e de Dino Ferrari in Imola, Italy. Looking at our grid, we have Zane holding off the pack in this front row in that P1, followed by Rudy Crazy Legs, someone who you would have expected maybe to go up the order more than he did. Steam Dan in that P3 after getting demoted to P2 on his own terms. Zero Alfie in that P4, looking very, very strong for him as this is reigning race. This is going to be fun. Lens in that P5 for VAR, looking to put some more points on his constructors. Kairos in that P6. Sven, after dominating in Miami in that P7. Jude going P8. Archie Butt P9. And finishing off your top 10 will be Ari. And Jim Pico will be our number 11. Frew in that P12 after joining the session very late. All of us P13. And then Lewis Celtic P14. Ben is your P15 holder. After going 6 laps on the Super Softs, he really wanted to find time, and time was just not found. Romeo going P16, Jamie P17, as we get 3, 4, 5 red lights. And away we go here in Imola! Full wet conditions as we get the race started. Zane, very good start. Someone in the grass there in the back. Frew up the position way. Same with Archie and Ben finding his way up as the scoreboard glitching a little bit. Ari up the order. A little bit of crashing. Zane As Lenz gets a 10-second penalty for hitting Dan. Dan in that P3 still. So obviously did not mess Dan up too bad here. Lenz and Archie swapping positions constantly as Lenz makes his way down the list as he loses more parts. Wow, Zane still holding that P1, holding a lot of pace and a lot of confidence here. We're going to watch the position changes. Sven, one of the biggest winners here. Jim Pika retiring lap 1. Wow. Sven up 2 positions from that P7. Definitely looking very nice as he actually gets an overtake done on him by Kairos. Kairos still there. Sven still there, going too wide. Maybe making a little bit of switch as Sven gives back down into that P7, but now up to P6 as someone runs wide there. Someone in the back may be running off. This is a lot of action happening so early. I can't even talk about what I mean to talk about. Lewis Celtic up 8 places. One of the several big winners here. As Romeo also up there. P8 up 8 places. Jamie up 8 places too. Both of them getting a lot of ground and traction. Ben more penalties to him. Fruit up 1, all of us up 1. Lenz, biggest loser here as he drops 8 positions on this first lap. Ben up 1, Jude and Archie down 7 each. Not looking very good for him as Rudy Crazy hits fastest lap here in P2. Romeo getting a little bit of penalties from speeding in the pits. Don't know how Rudy Crazy Legs got fastest lap when he's in P2, so I don't know, but maybe we'll see some battles from him and Zane coming up soon as Rudy Crazy Legs tries to eat more of that time off. 4 people in pits already. Romeo, Lenz, all of us, and Jamie. Probably going back on the wets, yeah. Taking a look at penalties. Drive-throughs already, 10 seconds to Lenz for that incident with Steam Dan. Gonna go over to Steam Dan, see if he has any damage. Looking, I don't see any, so I think, I don't know exactly why Lenz got that big penalty, but that's not gonna be in his favor here as we continue the race. No big action just yet. We watched that pack fighting a little bit. This battle between Rudy Crazy Legs and Zane may be happening soon as Steam Dan gets a penalty. That's going to ruin his chances as there's several people around him who are just waiting to maybe thinking to stick with him. Like Kairos could be getting his position. Same as Fen. Zero Alfie just 2 seconds back with that 3-second penalty. He's not going to be very good for Zero Alfie. He just won't be able to find him way up unless it's just a safety car. But never say never because anything could happen. Zane, fastest lap, 142.5. Maybe the conditions are getting a little better. I really doubt it, though. Ari, 142.3. So maybe they are getting better as the drivers drive across the track, getting rid of the standing water. A lot of action still waiting to happen here in Imola. Very, very wet race. Could be anyone's game. I mean, we watched Jeddah wet race, several punctures. So definitely looking for a one stop here from wets to wets unless the conditions get better than maybe wet to inters. But yeah, Rudy Crazy Legs purple sector 2, so he is finding time to Zane, wanting something to happen on track before they get too far into this race and Zane is able to run away with it. A safety car would actually ruin Rudy's chances here as he will go too wide down this corner. Zane running a little wide as Rudy Crazy Legs making a move, a little bit of contact there as we watch them go up the hill. Rudy Crazy Legs maybe backing out, not wanting to go too wide in the chicane, but maybe making another move, but no, it does not happen. Through the chicane, a lot of contact there, but keeping it fairly clean as nobody was actually taken out. I commentated one race earlier this week where there was a lot of action, a lot of happening, but it was in the different Italy Grand Prix in Monza. And that had a lot of action, so maybe we'll see a repeat of that here in this Italy Grand Prix in Imola. Sven up into that P3 spot, getting the overtake done on Steam Dan and finding a lot of time to Rudy. Kairos at that 3 seconds. So many 3 seconds going to be thrown around. Would not be able to be surprised if we see even more. The wet's just no grip in here. So very easy to slide out of position and taking the penalty, which is just not what you want in a race that you can just DRS train for so long. As we're seeing Rudy Crazy Legs right there. Still, are we going to see another move for him like we saw last lap? I would not be surprised. Rudy Crazy Legs very, very aggressive today. Driving in that Van Amersfoot. Romeo getting 10 seconds for spinning in the pits. I think that might be Romeo's race over. Wow. I don't know why he didn't wait for another safety car unless he just got more damage. Rudy Crazy Legs making that move, going a little off. That was weird. As they make contact, both drivers are off the track. Rudy Crazy Legs finding that position back, making his way. Did not lose too much, just down to that P3. Those tires gonna feel that effect though. Sven up into P1. Sven, if we check, if my game will let me check, that position changes. Sven up 6 positions from that P7 spot that he qualified. That was definitely gonna be beneficial for him as he finds his way making his moves in this championship. Because he joined late into the races, being a reserve and then getting signed to Rodin, the McLaren affiliate. So maybe we'll see him moving up into that F1 if he wants to. Zane maybe going into the pits. Yes, maybe getting a little bit of flat spotted, maybe a little bit of tire wear, no wing for him. Yeah, that crash looking very nasty. Not be surprised if we see a big penalty coming to someone's way. I don't know who caused that crash, so we'll have to watch it. Very slow on the pits for Zane. Not going to be what he wanted as he guts down into that P12. Lens behind him, but Lens is so far back, it's not even going to matter. Sven, your race leader right now. 2-second gap on Steam Dan. I think this is going to be another one where Sven runs away with it. Steam Dan, if he was here, I'd ask him who he thinks his favorite for this race would be. And he'd probably say himself, just because that's all what we would do. And then he'd probably go, Sven. Sven has the best chances here. And that is actually what it is looking like. Sven making more of a gap, just showing his dominance here in F2. But joining late's not going to help him in that he has a lot of time to make up if he wants to overtake Rudy in the standings. Lewis Celtic getting a penalty. So many penalties being dished out to everyone. Or if you can just keep it clean, keep it safe, you're going to find something. As Sven goes fastest, 139.8. I think the track getting a little better. Maybe we'll see some enters in not too long of time. Definitely have to see a pit stop. Jeddah had a lot of issues with tire wear and punctures. So would not be surprised if we see that happening. Continuing to watch, no big moves. This is going to be another one of those races where just nothing gets happened. Just because there's no DRS, no ERS, no little fun games you can play. It's just straight up racing now because of the wet condition. And it's really just a question of who practiced the most in these wet conditions and who didn't. I think practicing in the different conditions could definitely help. Steam Dan, if he was here, definitely missing him right now. I'd definitely ask him how he trains for the wet conditions, and he'd probably be like, I don't, just because I feel like that's something Steam Dan would do. Looking at the standings, Sven is in P7 for his team. Once again, joining late in the championship, and if he wins this, he'll have another 25 points for his total, putting him at 50-ish, which will skyrocket him into P3 without anyone else getting points. Because I don't have information to look at all of this. Kairos would be getting points right now, P4, so that would be 15 points. My apologies. No, not 15. I was right the first time with 10, I think. 10 points, so he still would be beating Kairos in that P3. Or P4 spot, my apologies. As we watch these two, Zero Alfie and Kairos, Ari not far behind him, as they keep going here. I think maybe that was Romeo getting lapped. We'll go and check that really quick. Leader not quite getting lapped fully by Sven, but would not be surprised if Sven comes into a little bit of traffic. Not too long. Romeo maybe 5 seconds out in front. So we'll have to see how all of that plays out. A lot of gaps here. We're watching maybe Rudy Crazy Legs and Steam Dan get into a little bit of a battle soon. But the next closest battle would be Kairos and Ari. Still ways back from these two, though, as we watch Rudy Crazy Legs going out on the inside, but not having a lot of pace as they head too wide through this little bit. Rudy Crazy Legs just backing off slightly, not wanting to make a move here. Very risky, so probably a smart play for him, and he'll just use the slipstream as Romeo retires, not wanting to get lapped. Continuing to watch this unfold. But we'll switch over to Ari, who is not too far behind in this little 3-car train, with Kairos leading. That is Zero Alfie on the outside, going for something as they get it done very cleanly, very nicely. No contact made between any of the cars. So that's going to be very nice for Zero Alfie. Maybe looking to make that move on Kairos in not too long time. Switching back over, Rudy Crazy Legs and Steam Dan still on this little battle that they're having. Steam Dan not too far out in front. Rudy Crazy Legs losing a little bit of time as we watch them go over that hill. Still anybody's race, though. Sven showing a lot of pace. 5-second gap to Steam Dan. So I think Sven will kind of just run away with it again. This is another time where I wish I had Steam Dan or another commentator with me so I could ask them how they feel about that, and I just don't have a response. Maybe we'll get ChatGPT, see what they think. ChatGPT, Sven is 6 seconds in front of Steam Dan right now with 0 penalties in Imola. How do you feel about that, ChatGPT?
Oh, that's pretty intense. Sven's got a solid lead, and with 0 penalties, he's in a great position. Steve Dan's got some work to do if he wants to close that gap. It's all about consistency and keeping it clean now. How are you feeling about it?
Definitely going to be interesting to watch. Steam Dan may be gaining a little bit of time on Sven. I don't know exactly what happened there. Maybe a little bit of slower corners as Steam Dan finds maybe 3/10 to Sven. Rudy Crazy Legs not very far behind on Steam Dan, though. Only 3/10. Maybe we could see some action there. But Rudy Crazy Legs having that penalty that he once did not have is going to hurt some of his chances here, as he's going to have to make something move on track and then find that 5.8 seconds to Sven.
Yeah, that's a tough spot for Rudy Crazy Legs. That penalty means he's got to not only catch up, but also build enough of a gap to offset that time loss. With Steam Dan closing in on Sven and Rudy right on Dan's tail, the next few laps could be wild. If Rudy can find a way past Dan, he might have a shot at closing that gap to Sven. But it's going to take some serious pace and maybe a bit of luck. Definitely an exciting battle shaping up.
Definitely. Rudy Crazy Legs still only 3/10 off. We're watching all of this overtaking Ben. Not able to switch to them in time, so I apologize. Maybe Ari making a move on Kairos. Only a 10th separates them. All of them have track limit penalties, so this is just going to be who can win out on track. Ari in the middle of Kairos and Zero Alfie. Zero Alfie, 9 seconds of penalties. That's just not going to do it. Esteem Dan, 137.6, fastest lap. I think maybe a little bit of time being found as I'm getting told to go on board with some of these drivers. We're watching Zero Alfie make that overtake done on Ari.
Sounds like there's a ton of action happening up and down the field.
Lewis Celtic retiring. He was out of points anyways, so maybe that just won't be happening. Going back to Rudy Crazy Legs, my apologies. 4 tenths separates him and Steam Dan. Still kind of just a drag race. We're watching the rain die down a little bit. I would not be surprised if some people may be ducking for inters.
Yeah, with the rain easing up, switching to intermediates could be a game changer. Timing that pit stop just right could give someone a big advantage. Rudy Crazy Legs is definitely in a prime spot to capitalize if he can make a move soon. It all comes down to who can adapt quickest to the changing conditions and nail that strategy. This race is turning into a real thriller.
Rudy Crazy Legs making that overtake on Steam Dan as Steam Dan gets more penalties. A little bit more action happening in this middle pack. Going back on board with Ari, looking to make a move done on Kairos. Zero Alfie not very far behind either. Archie getting penalties, but Zero Alfie is kind of just out of it now. 9 to get penalties, and I'm through not very far behind, only a second and 3 tenths. So
This race is definitely heating up, with Rudy Crazy Legs getting past Steam Dan and those penalties piling up for some drivers. The midfield battle is looking intense. Ari and Kairos are locked in that fight, and Zero Alfie's penalties are definitely hurting his chances. It's all about staying clean and making those moves count. This kind of tight racing is what makes these battles so thrilling to watch.
ChatGPT, someone was wondering who is going to win the real life World Drivers Champions.
The million-dollar question. It's always tough to predict, but if we look at recent form and team performance, it's likely to be a battle between the top drivers from Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari. Max Verstappen has been a dominant force recently, but drivers like Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc are always in the mix. It's going to come down to consistency, car development, and maybe a bit of luck. But right now, Verstappen's looking like a strong favorite unless something shakes up the grid.
Oscar Piastri not even being mentioned there. Oscar Piastri, my favorite, as we watch maybe Ari making an overtake on Zero Alfie. Going too wide down this little bit. Little bit of contact made as Ari has to go wide into the grass and into the gravel, losing a position off of Fru as Fru catches up. Wow, that's just not going to be what Ari was looking for. Going slower. Yellow flags. Virtual safety car out as Jamie retires. That was what a little bit of, wow. What events unfolding.
Wow, that was a wild sequence. Ari getting forced wide and losing out like that is definitely not what he wanted. And with a virtual safety car coming out, the field's going to get a bit of a reset. This could be a chance for some strategic pit stops or just a moment to catch their breath. And hey, Oscar Piastri is definitely a rising star. He could absolutely be in the mix for future championships. Let's see how these next laps shake out.
Oscar Piastri currently leading the Drivers' Champions. I don't know why ChatGPT isn't putting him a favor. I wonder if ChatGPT just doesn't know about the 2025 season.
My bad. If Piastri's leading the championship right now, then he's definitely a top contender and someone to keep an eye on. He's shown a lot of talent, and it's awesome to see him at the front. Thanks for the update. Looks like Piastri's making a big name for himself this season.
This virtual safety car not doing Steam Dan or Rudy Crazy Legs any benefit, as they will not be able to find time to spend Still 6 laps of racing, my apologies, left. 8 seconds separates Sven and Steam Dan. So I think Sven will run away with this. I think the rain has dried up. I don't see any rain whatsoever. Sven, 10 seconds for speeding in the pits. This is going to be crazy, guys. Who is going to come out on top? Steam Dan into the pits, going for the slicks maybe. Sven, 10 seconds of penalties isn't going to do him any good. Going on the Super Softs. Will the Super Softs last 4 laps? That is the question. That is the $1 million question, because that could define everything. I think so many people in the pits now going on to the slicks as the time as the track is dried up very quickly.
Wow, this is turning into a nail-biter, with Sven picking up that 10-second penalty and everyone diving into the pits for slicks. It's all can manage these last few laps on the dry track.
Full safety car out. I don't know why I'm showing virtual safety car, but full safety car, yes. So Sven, Steam Dan, and Rudy Crazy Legs all going to be very close together. Sven maybe having just 2 laps of racing to make that gap. I don't think Sven will run away with it like we had thought because of that penalty. That's going to hurt his chances so bad.
Yeah, that full safety car really bunches everyone up, wiping out Sven's lead and making that 10-second penalty a huge obstacle. With just a couple of laps left, it's going to be an all-out sprint. Steve Dan and Rudy Crazy Legs are right there, and if Sven can't build a big enough gap, he might lose out on the win. This is going to come down to who can keep it clean and fast in those final laps. Absolute edge of your seat stuff.
Still technically anyone's race. Still waiting for people to catch up to the safety car. Lap 13 of 18. I think maybe lap 15 the car will be in and having just 2 laps of racing to do something here. So many people. Kairos making contact with Fru. Don't even know what happened there. Looking at Kairos, he still has a wing, so I don't know what happened there. I did get an onboard for your accident, Ari. Don't you worry. So you'll be able to see exactly what happened. Sven, our leader, 10 seconds of penalties. Steam Dan, 6 seconds. Rudy Crazy Legs, 3 seconds. Alfie, 9 seconds. Fru, 3 seconds. Ari, 6 seconds. Kairos getting a drive-through and so many other penalties as he just retires. Archie, 19 seconds of penalties. Jude, 3. Zane, 3. Olivis, 3. Len, 6. And Ben, 19. Ari, my thoughts on your little incident. I think you were definitely pushed wide and just got really unlucky through it.
Absolutely. Ari just got the short end of the stick there. With so many penalties stacking up across the field, it's going to be a mad dash to the finish. Those last 2 laps are going to be chaos, with everyone trying to make up positions and account for their penalties. Sven's got a mountain to climb with that 10-second penalty, and it's anyone's guess who'll come out on top once the dust settles. It's all about staying sharp and making the most of these final moments.
Rudy Crazy Legs technically leading our championship right now. So he's probably just going to be running away with P1 now. If he can just stick close to Steam Dan and Sven. Who do you think is going to win out of everyone that we've mentioned so far, ChatGPT?
Given the situation, I'd say Rudy Crazy Legs has a great shot at taking the win if he can keep within striking distance of Sven and Steam Dan. With Sven's penalty looming large, Rudy just needs to stay close and capitalize at the end. Of course, it all depends on how these final laps play out and if everyone can keep it clean. But right now, Rudy's in a prime position to come out on top if he plays his cards right.
Rudy Crazy Legs is on the wets. He did not pit for softs, he pit for wets. That's not going to be anything good for him. Steam Dan and Sven on the super softs, Zero Alfie on the mediums, Fru and Ari on the super softs, Archie and Jude on mediums, Zane on super softs, all of us on mediums, Len's on super softs, and Ben on mediums. That's going to look really, really bad for him. Zonode saying he's going to get the win even though he's not even in the session. Yeah, wet tires for Rudy Crazy Legs. I don't think he's going to get a win now. I think it may go to Steam Dan if he can just stick with Sven.
Oh no, wets at this stage is definitely a huge mistake for Rudy Crazy Legs. With the track drying up, he's gonna struggle for grip and pace, which pretty much knocks him out of contention. That leaves it wide open for Steam Dan and Sven on those super solves. If Steam Dan can stay close and take advantage of Sven's penalty, he's in a prime position to snatch the win. Tough break for Rudy, but this just adds even more drama to the finish.
3 people still not caught up to the safety car yet. Maybe they won't. Hopefully safety car ends soon. Because yeah, safety car just out for so many laps, and if they keep it out, there's going to be little to no racing left. So I think Sven may be begging that safety car is in at any given point. But I think, yeah, it will go at least one more lap, maybe going in lap 17, having one lap of racing maybe.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. The longer that safety car stays out, the less time there is.
Safety car is in this lap, so we will have 3 laps of racing, I believe, if it's in 15, so 16, 17, 18, yeah, 3. So Zono wanting a big crash at turn 1 and 2 could happen. Sven leading the pack still, 10 seconds of penalties leaning over him, gonna have a lot to make up. Just has to separate 4 seconds between him and Steam Dan. Rudy Crazy Legs on the wet, not looking good for him, but he just has to stay within 3 seconds of Steam Dan to get his position.
All right, here we go. 3 laps of intense racing to the finish. Sven's got a mountain to climb with that 10-second penalty. And
We watch the restart. Sven and Steam Dan very close together. Zero Alfie making that move on Rudy Crazy Legs. Rudy Crazy Legs having 0 pace as he gets overtaken by Archie. Steam Dan and lead. Sven getting a penalty now. This is going to be a big mix-up. 3 laps of racing left. Rudy Crazy Legs still down the order like crazy as the wet's just showing 0-0 pace with the full slick conditions. Rudy Crazy Legs definitely going to be upset after this one.
absolutely, this is chaos. Steam Dan taking the lead is huge, and with Sven picking up another penalty, it's going to be really tough for him to recover. Rudy Crazy Legs is definitely out of the running with those wet tires in these dry conditions. Just a brutal call. It's all on Steam Dan now to keep it clean and bring it home. What a turn of events.
Rudy Crazy Legs getting another penalty down into P7. That just is not going to be good for him as Archie gets overtaken as well. This is not looking good for anybody. I think Steam Dan might have it now. 6 seconds of penalties, but he is 3/10 in front of Sven, who has 13 seconds of penalties. Zero Alfie also getting on that podium. 9 seconds of penalties, just 1 second away from Sven. A little bit of contact as Rudy Crazy Legs gets overtaken by Archie. This is crazy. Sven maybe going for something on Steam Dan as we watch them through the chicane. I don't think it's going to happen, though.
Yeah, it's looking like Steam Dan is in the driver's seat now. With Sven's hefty penalties and Rudy Crazy Legs dropping down the order, Steam Dan just needs to keep it steady for these final laps. Zero Alfie on the podium with penalties is still a bit of a wild card, but as long as Steam Dan manages the gap, he should be golden.
I think Zane also on the podium, maybe even Ari, if Ari can keep it close. I think these penalties will definitely mix up the order. We'll have to see how everyone goes. 0 people without penalties, so it still really is anybody's game. I can't see projected movings just like in real life may. But we're continuing to watch Sven here chasing down Steam Dan, getting a better exit here through the chicane. Are we going to see something happen? Probably not. No, Sven not having the pace to do it, but he will have DRS as the track is fully just back into normal racing conditions. That safety car definitely mixing up a lot of the order. If that didn't happen, I think Sven maybe just run away with it. But now we're watching Sven get a run down on Steam Dan. Steam Dan taking fastest lap as well as we start the last lap. DRS enabled, so Sven not getting that, which will just ruin his chance. Right now, the order: Steam Dan, Sven, Zero, Alfie, Zane, Ari, Jude, Fru, Archie getting the overtake on Fru. Now Archie in 7th, Fru in 8th, Rudy Crazy Legs, Olivis, Lenz, and Ben.
This final lap is going to be intense. With Steam Dan holding the fastest lap and Sven not having DRS, it's looking like Steam Dan's race to lose. The penalties are definitely shuffling the order behind them, so we might see some surprises once they cross the line. Sven's pushing hard, but it looks like Steam Dan's consistency and that safety car timing have given him the edge. What a roller coaster of a race.
Rudy Crazy Legs out of points now. Back end points as all of us kind of dies down a little bit. Fru overtaking Archie. Rudy Crazy Legs on the wet. P10. Once our P2 holder fighting for Steam Dan on that podium. But that safety car definitely mixing so many things up. ChatGPT, final little corners here. Steam Dan probably winning it. Sven not far behind him. Sven getting the overtake done on the last corner. Sven will win on track, and then it will go to Steam Dan, who will win because of penalties.
What a dramatic finish. Sven taking the checkered flag on track, but with those penalties, Steam Dan officially grabbing the win. It's a tough race.
Zane actually with the win here in Imola. Steam Dan on that second place. Ari running off our podium. Ari first podium for them after getting that DNF in Miami. Zero Alfie P4, Jude in that P5. We'll have to wait so I can get the standings for the rest. Steam Dan having a little bit of a rough race, getting that P1 on P2 on track, and then because of Zane's lack of penalties, he actually stays that P2. We'll have to see where everyone else dipped down into. But yeah, that podium definitely not what anyone expected. That safety car mixing up everything. Zero Alfie P4, Jude P5, Sven that P6 after leading the race for so long. Fru in that P7, P8 goes to Lenz, P9 Rudy Crazy Legs after fighting so hard and just nothing happening. All of us in that P10, Archie P11, Ben takes your P12, 13 goes to Kairos, P14 goes to Jamie, P15 Lewis Celtic, 16 goes to Romeo, and 17 will be Jam Pika. Any final words from you, Mr. ChatGPT?
What a wild race from start to finish. That safety car really turned the tables, and Zane's clean run paid off big time. Congrats to the podium finishers, especially Ari for bouncing back after that tough DNF in Miami. It's a reminder that anything can happen in racing, and consistency really pays off. Can't wait to see how the next race unfolds. There's always another chance to turn things around.
This has been your Imola Grand Prix. I do thank you all for joining me, especially ChatGPT helping me co-commentate. Ari, very excited about that podium. No interviews because I have family over that I probably need to go hang out with. So once again, I thank you all for joining me. Standings hopefully will be out at some point. This has been your F2 race here in Imola, and I have been your host, Toasty.